Okay. I want to talk about a problem with transgender the thing that's on TV a lot here lately with Trump, and I want to talk about this because excuse me, because number one, a lot of people know absolutely nothing about it. I'm gonna guess that probably 90% of the people in the United States know absolutely nothing, and more than likely when someone tries to educate them, they have no idea what they're talking about. And I'm no expert. I've got a website up here. How common is intersex? And what that is talking about is how common are babies born with both gender, male and female gender, physically they are physical, male and female. And it seems to me that there is 12 or 15 different stages excuse me, in which these are gauged, and I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I want to certainly talk about these ones that are nationalized today on television and things like that. Okay, maybe I'll read just a little bit of it here, if I can read through this medical jargon. Here's what we do know. If you ask experts at medical centers how often a child is born, so noticeably atypical in terms of gender, I'll call that a specialist in sex differential is called N. The number comes out to about 1 in 15 to 1 in 2,000 births. That means how often is it so that a baby is born with both genders so that it will have to have an operation. Okay, continue reading. But a lot more people than that are born with different kinds, forms of sex anatomy variations, some which won't show up until later in life. And there's many different stages of this. I have a nephew who he's all male, but inside his feelings are woman, and you can find this. He takes care of the babies. He does the dishes. He irons. He does everything a woman. Anyway, okay, enough of that. So, but and if I read some of these that are listed here is as small as 1 in 1,666 births, but some of them are as they are as often as 1 in 100 births, or 1%. It says total number of people whose bodies differ from standard male or female is 1 in 100. I even have a brother who acts kind of, and he has been out with other fellows that I know of when I was a teenager. Okay, and I'm not going to say any more about that. I don't want to, because I know this will eventually get back to my family, and I really don't care. They don't care most of them don't care what I think, so, yeah, but I love them, It's one of those kind of families. Total number of people receiving surgery to normalize gender appearance is 1 or 2 in 1,000, or about 1 in 750. That's quite a few births. If you count that as, okay, so how many people, and I'm just trying to think of this off the top of my head, there's 300 million people in 325 million people in the United States. Okay, so how many people, okay, now this is talking about annually or per year. So on the average, how many people would that be in the United States right now that have had or do have this kind of problem? So, and you know, and if you take all these and condense them down together, it's going to be like 1 in 75 people is going to have some kind of a different type of problem with, you know, not all a man like they are. Obviously, a lot of us are all men, but there is a lot of people out there who are men that are not all men, and there's a lot of women out there who are not all women. Obviously, hey, you know what? Some of those, it's easy to tell. So, how many people is that approximately? Approximately, I could take a wild guess. You know, I'm going to say, okay, that's a little over 1% of the total population. 1% of the population is 300,000 people of the United States. 1% of the population of the United States is 300,000 people. There's 300,000 people in the United States who, approximately, have this problem. That, you know, and some is bad. You know, they showed this fellow on TV the other day. Now, and I totally understand this. You know, some people, they have both genders. They look like a man, feel like a woman, on the inside, their feelings, and they're so rough and tough looking. They look like Magilla Gorilla and stuff like that. You know, I mean, they look like Tarzan, and swinging through on the grapevine and stuff. I mean, they're just so rough looking, but yet they want to go into the ladies' bathroom and be a lady. Well, you know, obviously, these things you can deal with. You don't have to deal with them in the government. There's common sense. You know, since there is that many people in the United States with this kind of a problem, then it's obviously to have 3 bathrooms. I seen this on Facebook the other day. It says, easy fix, problem solved. 3 bathrooms. Male, female, transgender. But, you know, I'm kind of glad this was brought up, because it's something I've been wanting to talk about for quite a while. Because what does the Bible say about this? Because now the Bible's really clear. If a man lays with a man, you know, that's abomination to God. If a woman lays with a woman, it's abomination to God. But what happens if they're not all man? And what happens if they're not all woman? That's a whole different story. Now, I can lead a lot of you to the right answer with this. Romans 12:1 and 2. Present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God. God wants you to do with your body what He has physically given you. Now, none of us is totally satisfied with being, you know, in other words, there's no perfect mate for anybody. There's people running around thinking, I got to find the perfect mate. But so they hop from one bed to another. That's totally wrong. They're just waiting on that certain person to come along. The one who has all the wisdom, one who has all the brains and all the money and all the good looks and da 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 da, and down the road you go. And that's just never going to happen. So, but there is those out there who are just plain old pervert. They take advantage of situations like that. Now this was the problem in Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, where God destroyed that town, not because of that single act of sodomy, but it was because of that, plus the lifestyle that was around there was so degraded that surrounded that kind of living, you know, and it was so perverted. And this is what I'm saying, because these people who are just perverts, for instance, you potentially have, even in the same sex, okay, there is men out there that exploit young boys, and they'll get locked up, put in jail, and this commonly happens every day, right under our noses, okay. And you're sitting in a fast food restaurant, and your young child, 5, 6, 7 years old, whatever, you know, young boy, he says, "I'm going to the bathroom." You don't think anything about it. Okay, hurry up. We're going to go here in a little bit, so don't take all day. And in walks this guy that just got out of prison, you know, for molesting 15. I'm going to a worst case scenario. 15, 20 young boys, whatever. And he goes into the bathroom in there. He sits down in the stall, doing his thing. He's sitting 2 feet away from your son, who you just let go to the bathroom. That kind of thing happens all the time. Both of them sitting there with their pants down, you know, and the old perverts over there probably getting excited about it. But now that is no worse than the transgender thing, you know. I mean, we've been dealing with these kind of things for ages. The problem is when those people cross the line to cause an act towards somebody else. It's not that this problem has never been here. It's not that it's never happened before. It's not that it's all of a sudden escalated just because Donald Trump came on the scene, or because we're having an election. That's not what the deal is, you know. And I've got Christian people saying, "Well, people, they just need to go use the outhouse and stay out of our bathrooms." That is not a good answer. Come on, you Christian folks, you know better than that. You know better than that. Come on. If a person has a body who is completely female, needs to go in a female restroom, someone like Bruce Jenner, who is, if within this transition state, if he is not completely changed, if he still has the male part, I don't care what his face looks like or what kind of clothes he wears, as long as he has the male parts, he needs to go in the men's bathroom. Folks, you just got to use your common sense about this. And you know, and this is what, you know, I heard what Donald Trump said. What I'm telling you is exactly what he was pointing to. Is exactly what he was pointing to. And the man's he's an extremely intelligent man. I'm sure that him and a couple of lawyers and a couple of Congress or whatever can sit down and figure out how this thing needs to be done, and to pass it back and forth like it was something that is out of the twilight zone. You're right, Lord, it's time to cut it off. Folks, just use your common sense on this already. God bless you. Thanks for joining. We'll see you again next time. Cross in the Middle Ministry.